So welcome back to another episode of the Daily EK. In the last episode, I took my OEM carpet out. In this episode, we're gonna go ahead and take that carpet, freshen it up, clean it up, and we're gonna change color on it before putting it back in. See here, everything laid out in the daylight. And here you can see that these seats really are kind of scuffed up. They do have a lot of dirty marks to them, so we're gonna have to find some sort of cleaner to really get in there and take care of that stuff. Definitely just need to go ahead and vacuum this stuff up first, and that's really what I'm going to start on with this carpet. And yo, look at that. We really need to start off just by giving this carpet a really good vacuum, and then we can go ahead and start cleaning this thing up. Check out on the inside, this is what I'm left with, and man, look at this. This is just years and years and years of gunk. This carpet has never been removed as far as I know, at least as far as I've had the car, and that's been like 8 years. So we definitely need to vacuum up in here too. And yeah, I don't even know what happened to this spot, dude. Like, ever since I've had the car, this has been there. And it's something that I've always just kind of put my mat over, you know, and you can always kind of see it out of the corner of your eye. Now, before we even get started, why would I use the OEM carpet again, right? Like a super roll. To be honest, at first I was looking at some aftermarket options. There are a bunch of websites out there where you can go and get these carpets that are already cut, you know, ready to go in your car. You just kind of got to trim the holes and, you know, fill everything out before you put it back in your car. I put some feelers out there, and I talked to a couple different guys who I really respect their opinion, and they told me to stay away from that stuff. They said both of them had each gotten that aftermarket solution before, and they had a lot of trouble trimming the individual little pieces, and then when they went and put it back in the car, it just didn't quite fit right. They had to kind of stretch some stuff, and you know, since those trimmed pieces weren't exactly the same, some things just didn't look great, you know, and that made a lot of sense to me, in the sense that, you know, if you've never done this job before, you know, the likelihood of you getting it absolutely right the very first time, maybe not that great. But so anyway, besides all that, what they were saying is, dude, you know, just use the OEM carpet again. The OEM carpet, you know, it's gonna fit exactly the way it came out. And again, that makes a whole lot of sense. So what I'm referring to is, you know, kind of like these holes here for the seat brackets and everything. You have to trim this kind of stuff when you're going and getting an aftermarket piece, especially all this stuff in the middle here. And you see I did cut this. You know, this right here is where the e-brake would go, but this piece where I trimmed right here, you don't even see that in the car. Like, it's totally covered by the console. So I'm really not worried about that. And I did cut up here as well, but again, I think that's gonna be just fine. I may glue that down so that it looks like totally flush. I think it's gonna be fine. So let's get into it. I'm just gonna shut off with my little shop vac here. Now this may be a little hard to appreciate through the camera, but dude, this carpet feels so much better already. Just knowing that I got all those years of dust and nastiness that was kind of stuck in between the console section area, you know, all that is gone. It feels so much better already, even though it still looks pretty gross. Oh, this seems like a nice place to sit. So the carpet is all vacuumed up. What I really need to do next is just go ahead and deep clean this thing. Now, I've seen people do this a couple different ways, and you know, I'm sure they're all effective. What I'm going to do is just go ahead and use a household steam cleaner. The one we have seems to work really well inside of the house, so why won't it work well for the carpet out here? I've seen some people pressure washing these things too, and you know, the results from that came out absolutely awesome too. So, you know, you do whatever you feel is necessary. And so here's the steam cleaner I'm gonna use. And I already have my solution pre-mixed up in this guy. Use whatever stuff you like to use. The reason I'm doing it, you guys, is because this thing is pretty thin. You see how thin that is? And then it's got, you know, this kind of, I don't know if this is sound deadening or just some sort of padding or I don't even know what, but that's sitting behind it. I don't really feel that I need to totally blast the crap out of this thing with a pressure washer for it to get clean. Just this nice brush motion here and then soaking the fluid up. I think it's gonna get plenty clean. And keep in mind, we are changing the color. And this is what I'm gonna be using to change the color. If you've looked up anything to do with changing the color of carpet or whatever in your car, you've seen this stuff. And while this is gonna be no different here, this stuff seems to work really, really well for changing the color. I got these 3 bottles here. I hope that should be enough. Seems like it will be. We'll find out. I know this is gonna be super hard to appreciate through the camera, but dude, the steam cleaner really is a good option. This carpet looks and feels so much better already to the touch. And you know, I get it, you know, it still doesn't look great. It didn't totally take that stain out, but it did a pretty good job on it, if I'm honest. And I don't know if y'all saw, but in that thing, it was picking up all that brown nastiness there. Who knows, man? But the thing I like most, I think, about using the steam cleaner is everything isn't totally soaked. You know, like if you use a pressure washer, you'd have to let this thing sit out for a day in the sun, man. It's not totally soaked. It can dry really easily, but everything is getting just as clean. Oh, don't mind me, it's just the neighborhood weirdo carrying my carpet to the side of the house to paint. Quelle is very good. I got my hot water in here, just kind of shaking this thing up, and you'll notice that I don't have it completely full. What I'm trying to do is just gauge like how much I'm gonna need of this stuff. So yeah, let's see, first run. I hope you all are enjoying this process, everybody. Thanks so much for watching. But so I really wanted to leave a lot more clips in of me changing the color of this carpet because it truly was amazing. Like, you saw how this carpet started off. In the top right corner, the passenger corner, that carpet was like whitish, yellowish, just gross. The rest of it was gray or shades of gray. I treated this process of dyeing the carpet black kind of like the way I did painting my engine bay. I would start off by using half a bottle of the RIT fluid. It wasn't any kind of formula specific parts. I just added half a bottle of RIT, filled the rest up with hot water. I sprayed it down. I kind of wanted to see where the color would be, you know, like it didn't change totally black like on the first go around. So I was like, okay, now let's let it dry a little bit. Then I'm gonna go ahead and add another layer. And that's exactly what I did. I added a little bit more of the RIT fluid the next time. I added a full bottle, and then I just filled the rest up again with hot water. And then I went and shot the carpet up again. I tried to use different patterns, like I didn't spray it the same exact way each time. I figured, you know, like you're painting walls in a house or something like that, like you want to go with different strokes and kind of move the brush around a different way. That way you're going to fill in all the little crevices. So that was pretty much the same idea that I took in this case. Just tried spraying it a bunch of different ways and just kept layering it on. Pretty good base coat going on in there over there. It's looking definitely different, looking really good so far, but I do want to darken it up some. So this has a full bottle of the RIT stuff and then filled up to the top with the hot water. So then finally ended up using all 3 bottles of the RIT that I got. I think it was just perfect, the amount of the RIT that I used. If you wanted like an even darker color of black or a darker shade of black, I think you could achieve that with just the 3 bottles of RIT. You'd maybe just want to use a little bit less water, but maybe as I say that, you probably would want to have a few more bottles of the RIT, because if you're using less water, it's going to cover less area. But so if you build it up the way I did in this, like you see the results here at the end, it comes out really, really nice looking. I am totally thrilled with it. And for 20 bucks, you can't beat that, man. But yeah, if you are thinking of doing this after watching this episode, send me a message. You know, I'll try to guide you through it the best I can. But man, I highly recommend this stuff, and just take your time and have fun with it. So here's where we're at so far. I'm pretty happy with it, man, but I do think it could go a little bit darker. I don't know how it's looking in the camera, but it may look splotchy. It's not. It's just because I was, you know, brushing all the paint in with that towel. It looks really, really good in person. But I do have one more bottle here. I went ahead and used all 3 RIT bottles. So let's go ahead and spray this up. So man, 20 bucks, this is awesome. It came out really, really good. I'm just doing this last little bit here just to kind of, you know, work any of that excess back into the fiber. Man, I am so happy with how this is coming out. So what do you guys think? Very first time I've done something like this, and dude, I am so happy. For 20 bucks, I mean, come on, that's awesome. So definitely I still need to vacuum it up. You know, I'm standing on grass over here, so little marks are getting on it. but in general, it looks a million times better than what it did. And most importantly, this top right section here, the passenger seat, is finally all the same color as the rest of it. So join me here in my little powwow in my backyard. But yeah, this thing came out awesome, man. And a huge thank you to Mark from Honda Street Garage. If you're watching this, Mark is the one who turned me onto this idea. At first, I was actually looking at some aftermarket solution. If you all have ever looked into doing stuff like this yourself, you've probably come across the common websites that everybody finds, where you can find these cut pieces that are ready-made for your car. I was pretty interested in that at first, to be honest. The price seemed right. You know, everything was supposedly cut to just how it was supposed to be. It seemed like the way to go. But what Mark and one of my other really good friends, who I really appreciate their Honda input, was telling me is that pieces like this, where you have to have holes for the seat rails and, you know, where the e-brake piece would go and the shifter and everything, you have to cut all that yourself. And the problem with that is that since that carpet is totally new, it's not stretched and, you know, essentially formed to your car, you really could have some trouble cutting out these center pieces, cutting out the brackets, and getting everything to line up. So of course, if you don't cut this hole right, then you're going to have a whole much bigger hole, or possibly one that's off to the side. It's not right where you need it to be. And, you know, you're just going to start hacking into your carpet. Now, for the price of those things, I was like, well, you know, maybe that'll be fine. Like, I'll probably mess it up the first time, you know, but I'll make it work, right? Well, then Mark told me about this. He had seen one of his friends doing it, and I was like, that's the way, man. Come on, this is the way. It was super easy to do, you know, just use a household steam cleaner or pressure wash it, whatever you want to do to clean it, get it nice and clean, vacuum the thing up, and then get the color of your choice, man. This black, I think, is perfect. Like, it's going to look awesome inside of the car. And so this is what I got going on inside the hatch at the moment. Everything kind of just stockpiled back here. What I'm probably going to be getting to is cleaning up these seats and everything, but next you all are going to be seeing this headliner. You see how this thing is sagging there in parts? It's just got some dirt marks. Like, it's just overall not great. So I'm going to be taking out this headliner, and we're going to go ahead and replace that in the next episode. Once we have that headliner out and replaced, and, you know, all the panels nice and cleaned up and freshened up, you see how they're just pretty dirty and scuffed up a little bit. We're going to go ahead and take care of all that, and then we're going to put everything back together in one awesome episode. So please stay tuned for that. And if you guys will, I'm going to ask you to please check out our Instagram as well. It's refine_movement. Check it out. That's where I initially posted the whole idea about possibly what to do with the interior of my car, and people were giving me suggestions there. So if you're not checking out our Instagram yet, please do. We put a lot of kind of behind the scenes stuff, you know, before it's going to happen kind of videos, so you can kind of get a little bit more involved in the process and helping me make my decisions for this car. So that's it for this episode of the Daily EK, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. Talk to you in the next.